multi-streams. All right, that should go live any second. Is the PC lagging or no?
I don't think so.
I think it is. I can't tell.
I don't think so.
There's a lot of shit going on this computer.
I
think it is,
computer's had a
actually.
week. I've had a week. This computer's had a week. Okay, let's see. Anybody?
Let's see if the chats will wake up. I think the top one is normal and bottom is super normal. I don't totally remember.
Nice. Normal and super normal. That's too funny. We got some hearts. Does hearts mean people are here?
Yeah, the top one is normal. That means people are here.
Okay, nice. We got some people in the hizzy. Muhammad, I think. I'm going to need that blow up feature. Hey, it's Vina in the house. Nice.
Nice. Let me see if Seamus is in the house.
Okay, hey everybody. Happy Friday. Everybody welcome. We got somebody on the bottom. I need blow up feature. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I can blow it up in a second.
Welcome to Future Self Friday. We are totally psyched about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Get some questions in there, but I would like us to think about our future selves. So while we're getting all warmed up here and settling in for the evening, I would love for you to think about the version of yourself right now. What do you have going? And the version of yourself that you want to create. Maybe that's in 1 year, maybe that's in 5 years, maybe it's in 20 years. We need to start thinking about that version. The future self version is what we're talking about today. So think about it. If you're bold enough to put it in the chat, and I'll share what my future self, I'm envisioning for my future self. And I actually try to have future selves day by day, not always, impulsively, but I am looking to grow each day and to be intentional. So put it into the chat for us here. Hi, Muhammad. How are you? Let's see. Bob Webb. Hi. I'm glad to see you here.
Now, who do we have in the chat today? We got a lot of familiar faces here.
Ice fishing. Nice. 2.2 acre North Dakota. Yeah, it does sound fun. Ice fishing. Mm-hmm. Remember when I bought all the fishing gear? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
when we were at Mindy's, I was determined to learn how to fish. I bought, kind of affordable fishing gear, and Saoirse and I went. We never caught any fish. Actually, I never actually figured out how to get the gear to work, but that sounds cold and fun. I hope you have an amazing time. The AO84.
Yeah,
awesome.
We've got the book here in the background.
Got the book here. Thank you for getting the book. I am on a mission to help people. Dr. Scott in the house. Nice to see you, my friend. The audio edition was one of the highlights of my life, honestly. I was so excited to record the audio version in the recording studio. So hopefully you're enjoying that too. That was really fun for me.
Yeah, Scott Markham, I love your message there. I want to be happy, fulfilled in a healthy relationship, making a living and having close friends with a balanced life. That's a really good way to...
It is.
That's a really good goal to have. It's amazing.
Authentic self. Let's go for it is right. I love that, Scott. So thank you for putting that in the chat. Totally appreciate it. We're trying to inspire people to think about the version of themselves they are now and the future version of themselves. We have Declan's put together a slideshow for us so that we can think about how we're going to get from where we are now to where we want to be, whether that be in a month, in a year, in 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he says.
Warming into it.
All right. We'll see. We'll wait for people to come in, see how it goes here on a Friday. I've never gone live on a Friday, so.
Friday's not a bad day to go live.
I don't know.
Lots of people they get out of work Friday and they've got their time to watch a stream.
Yeah, cool. It's gorgeous out here. Gorgeous outside in North Carolina where we are. I was just outside. Oh, I love it, Bob. Become a singer-songwriter. I love that.
It's amazing. You should probably point the speaker on your lav mic a little more towards your mouth. Not move it, just angle it. Yeah. Yeah, better.
Is it pointed? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can blow people's doors off with my
Yeah, I just want to make sure people can hear you loud and clear.
Hello, 321. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about our future selves. What's that? Durage, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Seamus is here to moderate or not.
Seamus texted me
He's too busy.
verbatim. Gonna be a few minutes late. The fire alarm is going off, and there's a real fire.
Nice.
So let's hope he makes it back into the building, and the real fire gets dealt with pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's in the dorm, so that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
Remember when your fire?
Someone burnt the popcorn.
Your
my 3 a.m. fire alarm in my apartment. I do remember that. I'm still tired from it, even though it was like a year ago.
I know. That's crazy. 3 a.m. You're outside for like an hour.
A full hour, yeah. That was rough.
Crazy. It is rough. Yeah. I know I've had my fire alarm story, so he's building a fire alarm story now.
Yeah, he's having his own right now. That's great.
Yeah. Mohammed, we're going to talk about how to get to that version of yourself. And that's what we've got in store today is setting the intention for the person that you want to be. But obviously, intention only gets you this far. You have to have the action steps to set that intention in motion. So we're going to dive into that in just a couple minutes. So I am hoping that people will put into the chat either, some situations or life experiences that you are in that you maybe don't want to be in, or you would love to improve a little bit. And at the same time, start envisioning the next version of yourself or the ultimate version of yourself, but a future version of yourself. And, I've joked here before that my life exists in 7-year chapters, but I do try to improve every single day, especially when something happens where I get an undesirable outcome. I debrief myself is what I call it. Like when you come back, right? The military comes back from war, you debrief yourself to be able to learn from that experience, but then especially take a different action step. And then if I like the outcome of something, I try to figure out how to do more of that. And that's what we're talking about today. Let's see.
Muddle-Up, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see what else we've got going.
Yeah, all of the donations today are going towards what?
Yep, all the donations are going towards our nonprofit that Declan and I have co-founded.
Which is called the Supernormal Project.
Why is it called the Supernormal Project?
Because it helps you become supernormal, of course.
It does, which is what we're talking about today. We don't want people to be quote unquote normal. Normal's not even a thing, and you've probably heard me say that before. Find me a normal person. Bring me a normal person, I'll give you $1,000. No such thing. So what we're talking about is optimizing. Supernormal is a double entendre. Supernormal stimuli is what happens from dopamine dependency from the screen. So most people are on autopilot in either one way in their life or in many ways in their life. Our intention here is to help people turn off autopilot and start, driving towards the existence that you want. So that's why we called it the Supernormal Project. It's a double entendre, and I love them. Let's see. Yes, so we have, what is that? Rocky, I think it is. Very lonely, no friends due to addiction, hard time trusting people due to past trauma. All of that is so challenging. All of that is in my wheelhouse. Loneliness is such a challenge, and there are steps, and we can talk about that in Future Self. And I actually have a future plan. And if you've been with me here, I've been talking about it for a little while, but my time is coming, my friends. So to make a plan to, when there's compulsion to the screen involved, no matter what the content is, that can get in the way, and it creates more loneliness through isolation. So breaking free from that dopamine dependency and from the reinforcement habit loops, that's what we're talking about here today. Today, the strategy is cultivating the version of yourself and then forcing yourself to go do the things that lead you towards that version. So Declan knows. Declan called me and he said, are you going to be up in the studio for the next 40 minutes? And my answer was no. I'm outside working out. I have to squeeze in a workout. And you know why I'm outside working out? Because I want the current and the future version of myself to be fit and to be healthy and to be a person who works out almost every day. So what has to happen for me to create that version, right? Yes, I have to pull my booty out there and do it almost every day, which I do. I'm committed to it. I'm disciplined, but I have the action plan and I also have the time that I dedicate to it. And this live is new at 5 p.m. and it was on the tail end of my workout. So I didn't skip it because we're going to be here tonight. I just made sure I got it in quickly. And that's what we're talking about. The future self, for me, works out and tries to be healthy. So that's the action step.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got?
Got lots of people in both chats today. Because it's 60 degrees, full sun, and no wind in mid-March. Working to stem drinking and recruit motivation so I can escalate my life. Of course, that's awesome.
Yes,
It's
very
incredible.
Cool. 60 degrees, full sun, no wind. Yeah, that is beautiful. I know, it's gorgeous here. Let's see.
It's not bad here at all.
No, it's really nice out. Yeah, it is an interesting, the AO84, the idea of normal, right? The saying used to be that normal is only a selection on your washer or your dryer. And actually, I think they took normal off. I don't even think our clothes washer or dryer says normal anymore, but ours has like 20 selections.
Yeah, 20 modes.
20 modes. Which actually, I was looking at my socks. They're 2 different colors of white. My husband does my laundry. I'm like, that dude washed one of them with blacks. But there is no, normal person. So that's the idea of neurodiversity, which I love, right? I'm not trying to pigeonhole people into any particular version of themselves, right? We're not looking for a cookie cutter cutout of normal. It's optimization. Everything in my work, you'll hear me say the word optimal, which honestly is too much of a mouthful. I wish there was an easier word, but to optimize so that you become the version of yourself that you want to be. That takes courage, because sometimes you have to go against what your mom thinks or your partner thinks or your friends, which that's not always the easiest thing to do. But when you do it, it feels great. Authentic. Bob, Bob says losing friends due to irritability. Irritability comes from dysregulation, and Bob knows a goal of mine is to help people regulate their brains. The closer you get towards optimal and the less dysregulated, then irritability goes down. But you also can take action steps. So here on Future Self Friday, an action step, we talked about it the other day a little bit, is to come up with the thing that you do when you're becoming irritable. You don't go out with your friends if you're irritable. Hopefully you're not irritable all the time. But, at the same time, creating a script. I think it's really important for people to create scripts like we talked about last night, where you know what you're going to say when you feel irritable instead of snapping something off. Hello from Indy. I don't know if I'm butchering that. Bean in the house. We're glad you're here. Better late than never,
Classic
Bean.
2840, always in the chat. A real good member of the channel here.
Hello, Fun Money. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, my friend. Moodaleep, I wish you... we can't put... Can we put...
What'll it... Put what?
Like transcript on here. We definitely can put it on the recording, but I don't know if it does it live. Seamus modding from the mobile during a fire. Powerful, that is commitment to the cause. We love it. Seamus Lee in the house moderating here for us, trying to encourage people to contribute to the topic tonight, which is Future Self Friday. Please put in the chat, something that you're struggling with right now in terms of the self that you might want to improve. How I feel. It's never failure. It's win or learn, right? So if you have something going on in your life that doesn't feel like a win to you, we want to help you to learn how to become the next version of yourself. And of course, it involves iterations like anything, right? We talked about it the other night that with growth comes challenge and struggle. So if you're struggling, you're trying and you're moving in the right direction, hopefully, because as you keep putting those action steps in place, moving towards the next version of yourself.
Yeah. This might be important.
Let's see.
Sure. We're dealing with some tech issues here. I think the streams are choppy because we've got so many of them going. I don't really know what to do about that.
Are we laggy, anybody?
Seamus just said yes.
Let's see. So. Seamus says we lagging, but maybe it's that his internet's on fire.
I can even see it.
Yeah, we're laggy. So we may need to. What do we have going? Like in terms of
we're streaming to Supernormal. We're streaming to the main channel. We're streaming to the Twitch, and we're
recording. Why don't you see if we kill Twitch if it's better?
Yeah, I want to, but I think that'll also kill the other streams in the process. Which I don't know.
Yeah, we're lagging. Ron's rules. Yeah, we lagging. We haven't been lagging the other.
I mean, nights. I can try, but I just.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do: is
restarting the stream sounds inconvenient, but I might just have to do it.
Yeah, Declan's going to try to kill the Twitch stream.
I'm gonna see what I can do. Yeah.
Hopefully the computer is not hot.
If I press stop streaming here.
Change the bit rate. Thank you, Ron. People in the chat have totally helped me in the past save my tech problems. Oh, Dr. Scott says we not lagging, so maybe.
We're definitely lagging. I can see it.
Yeah, on streamer Jaggedy AJ.
I think I might have stopped the Twitch.
And you can stop Supernormal if we need to. We're trying to maximize.
Let's have the Twitch off for a minute and see where we end up.
Okay, let's see if. Do you have the camera on me? And I'll
have it
keep
on you,
chatting with people.
Tech work.
Okay, so Declan's doing tech work. I thought it was on his head. Okay, so if we're getting better, if you could let us know. I think we're better.
I think it's better now.
I think we're better.
Are we still live on all the YouTubes? I believe we are.
Okay, awesome. Thanks,
Sweet.
AO84.
Yeah, I will keep an eye on it to see if it starts back up. But
and let us know if we're lagging because we will try to fix it. So, okay, so awesome, beautiful,
Sweet.
Better. Okay, thank you.
That's clutch. Being able to keep the YouTubes up without
yeah,
the lag is nice.
You never know what issues you're gonna have. You know, it's just a matter of how catastrophic they are. So that one was good. We were able to solve to solve it.
Yeah, it looks so much better. Wow.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so we're gonna dive into our slideshow for the day. We're not going to be in the chat when we're in the slideshow.
I can get the chat over there like it is there, but we're not really going to be talking.
Yeah, we're not. We're going to try to.
We're rather focused on.
We're trying to keep the slideshow kind of concise because on night one we were in the slideshow for.
We were in the slideshow.
We were in the slideshow for far too long, is what we decided. So we're going to dive into the slideshow and do it kind of sweet and concise, and then come back into the chat to discuss it. So please, as we're talking, if you have thoughts, because we have some cool studies and some cool takeaways today. I know you're thinking that I overextend the word cool study, but I've been doing that for 30 years, so I'm not stopping now, right? But the studies are neat, and we want to be able to show you what is happening in the brain when you are stuck in a self that you don't want to be, or you would prefer to be a better version, what your brain looks like when you're focused on your future self, how time changes. So this is what Declan's working on our tech real quick, but this is what we're talking about. If you saw my slideshows on the time horizon, we're going to dive into that. It's totally an awesome, remove the plant. What plant? My hair into the plant?
The plant behind you, I think they're talking about.
Is because I look like a troll? Is that what you're saying? I've got troll hair going. So is this plant always been here?
Yeah, I think it's fine though.
Okay, we're gonna have to
during the slideshow, the plant should not be a problem because it will be from a very cool angle, which we are all about to see.
Okay, so good, Bean. The plant's good. Do you remember those trolls with the hair that sticks up?
You can see the chat over on the left. Can you see it over there?
I can.
Okay, so if I go to the slideshow, which is not presenting it, you can still see that.
I can.
Sweet. Awesome, no lag. We have the chat pulled up. We've got the slideshow going, and we can go ahead and jump right into Future Self Friday.
Okay, let's do it.
You ready?
You're up. Yep, I'm ready.
Before we start presenting, just a quick reminder that any donations we receive in the chat today are going to be going towards the Supernormal nonprofit, which is to help people with various screen addictions and help people who are on their phones more than they'd like to be, who'd rather not be, work towards a more on-purpose version of themselves where they're not constantly picking up their phones.
Yeah, and the nonprofit is about balanced screen time. And, our screens can be the greatest asset that we have, obviously, right? Declan said, I need more monitors. Trust me, I don't. But this is the greatest asset that I'm able to work with people all over the world, right? Seamus is in a fire and he's still able to moderate. Our screens can be our greatest assets if we intentionally use them. That's what the nonprofit is set out for. We have a prevention program. We have a remediation program for people who are struggling, feel the pull back to their phone. We have a parent program. And a funny story is that I was meeting with my accountant to talk about the nonprofit, and I was telling her about the parent program. 20 minutes later, I told her, I have to stop talking to you about this. We need to get back to accounting, not all the strategies that we have for parents. So I know parents love it. And we have an organizational program all coming soon. And we're hoping to have the website to you all so you could check it out by next Tuesday. But neither of us did what we were supposed to.
So we need to get on that. Okay, you ready to present?
I am. Let's go.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Future Self Friday. Today, we are going to be talking about how you can move from where you currently are to be a future self that you want to be. We're going to be talking about goal setting, and we're going to be talking about how the idea of even having a goal can make you better now.
And we're going to share our goals.
That is right. We are going to share our goals. So, the general hijack in regards to setting goals is called a time horizon collapse. Do you want to dive into that?
Sure. So I've already made a few slideshow videos on my YouTube channel, Dr. Trish Lee, so you can check this out. And I've actually gotten calls and feedback from people, emails saying how much they like those videos. So the idea is that when you're caught up in a dopamine dependency, where you're pulled back to your phone to get hits of dopamine to feel good, and it leads to a compulsion where you go back into your life and you feel flat or you feel anxious. So what happens is time actually collapses. You start just thinking inadvertently or subconsciously because of the dopamine about the now and about getting more dopamine now. So unfortunately, the horizon of the rest of your life collapses, and you're no longer thinking about what you want to create in a year or 5 years. Or I've actually been thinking about my life in seasons lately because one season is ending and another one is beginning. So this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's the idea of the time horizon collapse. So to back that up, if the future doesn't feel real to you, your brain won't work for it. So what this means here is that if you don't have a long-term goal, then there's no possible way that you could be working towards that long-term goal. If you want to be a musician, you need to set a goal to be a musician, and then you need to set a goal to make a song. But if you never set any of these goals, then you'll never end up making that song and becoming a musician that you want to be.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the action steps, but I have wanted to write a published book my whole life, right? Like that seed had been in there for so long. So when the opportunity, quote unquote, presented itself, which don't get me wrong, a lot of people have told me how lucky I am about that. I'm not lucky. That goal's been in me for a very long time. And then I wrote that book long before the agent reached out to me. So this is the power of the goals, right? How are you ever going to reach them if you never set them?
Exactly. So goal setting is a very, very important concept in your future and avoiding a time horizon collapse. Rather, keeping your time horizon and your future potential as maximized as you can.
Yes, love it.
So going forward from that, this is kind of a demonstration of the time horizon collapsing. It's really a loop. So as you can see at the top here, there's years and decades, which is where your most important goals can be set. But at the bottom, there's minutes. You're not really going to have a goal for yourself for what you're going to be doing 1 minute from now.
I do.
You might, but
We
it's
made
not,
the we
you're not
made
gonna
the
have
goal that
a,
we're going for dinner because we're not
you're
making
not gonna
it.
have a very important goal in 1 minute. Your important goals are gonna be years or even decades out. And other important goals, maybe slightly less so, are gonna be months and seasons out. So as you can see here, it kind of shows a distribution. The very important things in your life are further away, which makes you think maybe I should be putting some more time into thinking about what I'm going to be doing a year from now rather than what I'm going to be doing in an hour. So what you cook for dinner doesn't matter as much as what you're chasing as your career or your passions.
Right. Yeah. And then they all add up. And I really love this time horizon collapse as a concept because you can get stuck in the minutes, right? And then you can't even see months, seasons, years, and decades. One of my friends is the only female vigneron in France, which is a vigneron is someone who makes wine. So cool. And she's making a new label. And we had this conversation like a year ago, actually, on the birthday of the book. Mish, you know
Yeah,
her.
of course.
So she said, she's like, yeah, I'm making a new label. And she's like, it's going to take 4 years. And I'm like, that is so
It's
awesome.
an amazing goal to have.
Exactly. I said, that is so awesome. She's like, everybody tells me I'm crazy. I'm like, everybody doesn't see the vision of how fabulous it is to create a goal 4 years out and work toward it. So cool. Her time horizon is expanded, which is why she has multiple lines of wine, right? So this is what we're talking about.
And
here.
training yourself to set these long-term goals, it makes it much more likely that you've set yourself up for success. So it's a really great skill to build. So a story about tomorrow, this right here is a little exercise that I'd like us to do, which is thinking about a time you made a short-term decision and chose an easy option because it was what you could do sooner. And later you met the consequence of it. Instead of doing something and putting in work over time, you chose to take the easy way out and do something quickly. And now think of something that's completely opposite. Think about when you set a goal for, oh, I'm going to finish something by the end of this week and it's going to be great and I'm really passionate about it. How did you feel about the two different decisions? How did you feel about your short term, what am I going to make for dinner, versus your long term, what am I going to do this month? At least for me, the long term goals are a whole lot more gratifying. This is an image of me in Tokyo. One of my long-term goals was to travel outside of the country. For the longest time, I hadn't gone really anywhere. So I set a long-term goal to go to Tokyo. And it took me, 3 months to plan out the trip and go with friends and see the sites that I wanted to see. But it was really, really worth it. Yeah. It's very gratifying to think, how can I expand my time horizon? How can I set a goal far out that I really want to achieve, and then to go and do it over time?
Amazing, really right? Amazing. And Seamus took that picture. He put it in the chat.
Seamus did.
And Bean's going this year. They're going back. What a cool goal, right? And it's interesting because when Declan first told me, I want to go to Japan, this is the programming that we were talking about yesterday. In my mind, I'm kind of like, you can't go to Japan. You're only 21 or whatever. And then because my life, I at 21 could not go to Japan. But the minute that thought came into my mind, I don't even think I ever said it out loud, right? I'm like, cool, let's figure out how we can make that happen. That's me using new programming to support that time horizon so that it expands and it doesn't collapse. So many people will show up in your life and tell you, you can't do that thing. And then your time horizon collapsed because somebody else told you that's too big of a goal. Don't listen to those people. That's the authentic version of yourself. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then the short term goals is always like, I was thinking about, I'm just trying to think, my short term goal, like the time I chose something and I regretted it, we basically always make healthy food. We told you Declan measures all of his food. And my regrets are always like, the Hubs brings home pizza and instead of making dinner, I eat pizza and then I feel like I'm going to die later on. You know what I mean? And that's just like, but that really does apply because most nights we have chicken and rice and vegetables. We made the best dinner last night, Declan and I, really quick. Actually, I think I made it and you spectated, but the pizza is an example.
Talk about this here. All right. So the brain treats your future self like a stranger. That's actually a very interesting concept because for many people, you think, oh, in the future, I want to be stronger. I want to go to the gym, or I want to be a musician. I want to work towards that. Or you want to be a wood carver. And it's, I want to be this, and you imagine yourself as that, and it doesn't feel like you because currently you don't have those skills. It's something you want to be, it's not something you are. So understanding that your future self feels like a stranger is important in how you get to be that future self. Here we show a study which is about future self continuity. And what that means is that if you imagine yourself becoming what you want to be in your future, you're way more likely to make decisions that actually lead you to become that version of yourself. So if you think in your mind, I'm going to be a published author, I wonder what steps I'm going to take to get there, but I know I will be, then those steps come to you a lot more naturally. But if you think, maybe I should become a published author, that might be something I want to do, I'm not sure, and you never really ground yourself in it, you never really set that future goal, then those steps won't ever develop, and the odds of you becoming an author in the future are a lot lower.
Yeah, and you know the classic example, right? Mr. Beast, when he made his 5 videos of, right, Jimmy, who's actually from North Carolina, close to, actually, my daughter goes to school where Mr. Beast is from, but he made videos of himself to his future self and just setting the tone for what he was going to do over the next 5 years. And then he did it. And Jim Carrey's another example. Jim Carrey wrote himself, I forget the amount now, but he wrote himself a huge check, and long before he was an actor, and he said he was going to cash that check in 5 years, and then he made it happen. So that's it. You identify with this future version and you pull yourself toward it. That's what we're talking about, continuity.
And here next to it is a picture of a phone, because thinking about how phones relate to your future goals is something absolutely related to this article. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So your phone can either be the tool that gets you there or the tool that derails you, right? You can either use it to make sure it is moving you towards that future self. And we talked about that in curating your feed, right? If you're watching people who have created the life that you want and they're ahead of you, then it's pulling you towards that future self. But if you're passively consuming whatever comes in front of you without intention, you're being derailed.
So keeping an eye on how your phone affects your future, and especially how it affects your chasing of those goals that you have for your future, is very, very important.
Nice.
So this is a brain stuck in the present. I know that Dr. Trish has thoughts on these 2 brain diagrams about how they might relate to a brain stuck in the present. So I will let her take it away.
Yeah, so the idea is these are the 2 brain patterns that I talk about frequently. One is drain brain and one is strain brain. Drain brain, there's not enough power, not enough energy to feed those goals. Strain brain, it's a wired and tired brain. You're stressed out and you're fatigued. And many of my clients actually have both of them simultaneously. So that leads to the irritability. It leads to the stress. It leads to ADHD symptoms. It leads to anxiety.
Yeah, and to build on that, having drain brain and strain brain simultaneously is something pretty commonly seen. It's at sometimes your brain is very stressed out, and at other times your brain is moving too slow to really pick up the pace when you need it to. So it's this going back and forth between really high brain activity and really low brain activity.
Yeah, it cycles, right? And then you're caught.
And it cycles, and it's hard to ever get into the middle where your brain will work at its absolute best.
And that's regulation. Regulation is organization and stability in the brain pattern. And then the cycle ends. And every time you go back to your phone unintentionally and you flood your brain with dopamine, whether it be shorts or reels or explicit matter, if you're on your phone a lot, frequently, consistently, and with any amount of intensity, you are keeping your brain stuck in the present through drain brain and strain brain.
So the degree to which people feel connected to their future selves predicts how well they treat that person today. What this is saying is that if you feel connected to your future self, if you go, oh, I'm going to be a champion weightlifter, and then you know that, and you connect yourself to that future you're working towards that goal, and you think that you're one and the same. The you now and the you that's going to get there are both 100% to you. It will predict how well you treat yourself in relation to that goal today. You'll treat yourself like a professional weightlifter now, even though you're not there yet.
Yeah, and you'll do the things that a professional weightlifter does.
Mhm.
That's kind of fake it till you make it, right? Like
it's a good way
you
to put it.
figure out what it is, and then you do those things until that is your identity. Because we talked in the days before today about identity formation also, and it's a very important point for me to convey to you, is that your phone can foster your identity towards your future self or
Mhm.
derail you. So the identity is important. Fake it till you make it, baby, but then take the action steps.
Mhm. So why discipline alone won't build your future, but adding planning to it will? This is a really important concept. Discipline is the idea that, let's say you've got a goal in the future, and you know that if you work a little towards it each day, you'll get there. But if you don't set a plan to how you'll get there, what things you'll do each day bit by bit, you're not very likely to end up there. So discipline, the ability to do something repeatedly and to have actions, which we talked about just the other day, needs planning paired with it so that you can do the correct actions every day to build towards your goals.
Yes, and the actions build, right? Because some of them will keep you in a plateau, some of them will move you backwards, and some of them will move you forward. That's
Mhm.
why it's intention, and if it's not scheduled, it's not real.
So something like scrolling on your phone every day will probably move you further from your goals because you'll be giving up the opportunity cost, the time that you could have been doing other things. And something like relaxing and resting your brain and calming down, it's not necessarily moving you towards your goal, but it's definitely not moving you away from it. So that's a neutral activity.
Right.
And then for the author example, working on writing a chapter of your book, that's definitely working towards your goal. So understanding the difference between going backwards, staying where you are, and going forwards will let you choose the activities you do, which ideally should be ones that keep you where you are, plus ones that move you forward, so that when you add it all up, you're moving forward.
Yep. Love it. That's great.
Yep. So this is what a future-oriented brain looks like. I can show you real quick. A second ago, we talked about a brain that's stuck in the present. As you can see, the brain is either pretty slowed down or it's way overstimulated. But a brain that's future-oriented looks like this. It's in the neutral zone. Your brain's not moving too fast. Your brain's not moving too slow. And a really good way to get there is by training your brain, which I'll let Dr. Trish talk about.
Yeah. So at Dr. Trish Lee and Company, we use top tier technology. The Muse headband that you see on the screen, that is the hardware that I use. Oh, and you see here, this is the hardware that I use with my own app. Dr. Trish Lee app is the software, but this hardware comes with its own software, which is a really good starting point for people. So we're actually putting together a program at Dr. Trish Lee and Company to help everybody who has this headband to be able to use it intentionally for the goals that we're talking about here. It's a good starting point, but for many people who are stuck in that blue and that red, they need technology to shift them out of it. Here, we're talking about using your mind and your body intentionally. You can do that, but it can be difficult the darker the blue and the darker the red.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we've come up with this little idea called the direction protocol. It's a good way to keep on top of this concept of a time horizon and future goals that you set far out. So if you have a question, if something's going to help you towards your goal in the future, you can follow these 3 steps. The first step is to think about your future self. I'm going to be a painter in the future. So imagine you in the future as a professional painter who's made hundreds of paintings that are well received. And then you ask your future self that question. Hey, how often did you paint each day? What did you do to work towards your goal? Who did you reach out to learn more about painting? And you imagine in your head, what might that successful painter version of me have said? And more often than not, you can actually think of an answer. You can think of what the future you might say. Oh, I went to the biggest painting center in my city and I met some people and I asked some questions. And before you know it, I was connected. And then based on what answers your future self might give you, you can decide to act. You can go to your painting center in your city and you can ask some questions. And before you know it, you have a friend or two who also paint.
Right. And it takes perseverance and persistence, because if it was that easy, everybody would be their future
Of
self.
course, these actions are not easy at all.
No,
I'm
they are a
explain-
template. Though.
I'm explaining it in a very simplified way so that it can be easy to act towards, to actually go, okay, let me ask my future self a question. But actually going into the city and meeting someone new or whatever you need to do to work towards your goal is definitely not easy. It takes a lot of determination, and specifically, it takes discipline and planning.
Yeah, and everybody can do it at all levels, because people have, I suppose they're, kind of haters have written in the chat before, oh, look at you, all that you've accomplished. But all of that comes from trying these aspects.
Mhm.
And then we keep doing it at all different levels. So even if you've accomplished things that you wanted to, we are encouraging you not to stop and, exercising this to get to the next level. And there's studies that show that people live longer. I think this is crazy. We haven't talked about this. People will live 7 years longer if they have goals as they age, right? So this is important for the whole rest of your life to, practice it. It's a skill that you develop and you never stop doing it.
Yeah, I remember watching parts of a documentary. I think we might have watched it here about the people who live the longest in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them had one thing in common, which is that they had a goal or a task or a purpose that they were fulfilling. Some of them were a basket weaver, and they just loved weaving baskets, and they saw the people around them use the baskets that they weaved, and having that feedback made them live significantly longer making those baskets and staying active all the way through their life.
That's it's from the book The Blue Zones, but they changed the name of that as a show to Live to 100.
Live to 100.
Clickbait.
That's what it is.
Clickbait, man. It was actually called The Blue Zones because they studied the areas across the whole world where people live the longest, and purpose and goals and passion, community, like we talked about, getting out of your phone and out of your head and into the world. Community was another. Walking upstairs,
Yeah,
that is one.
Staying active, but
getting up and down off the ground, like it really is.
The overall idea is that following these 3 steps, asking the successful version of you a theoretical question, imagining what the most successful version of you might say back, and then acting based on that answer is a really powerful skill that you can implement to work towards your goals.
I love it. Super fun too, right?
Yes.
Get your journal out. Get your pleather journals out, and I encourage you to do that.
Yep. So we have tons of information just like this on drtrishlee.com. As you can see here, it's a place that you can schedule appointments. It's a place that you can read a blog. There's tons of information on subjects just like this. And later this week, we're going to be releasing another website, which is called the Supernormal Project. The link will be supernormalproject.org, I believe.
Yes.
And it is going to be all specifically about a few things. One is screen addictions. If you're really attached to your phone and you find yourself scrolling when you don't want to be, and how to move away from that. People who are addicted, people who even just see little bits of that in their life and want to avoid it. We're going to be covering all of those topics at that website and on the Supernormal YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I even though addiction is absolutely a relevant term, I try not to use it because some people don't identify with it at all. So really, it is like Declan said. You feel like you're just using your phone too much. You qualify. Let's just put it that way, and it's going to be an awesome resource. And there's thousands of blog posts on drtrishlee.com. Every single video that we put out on the YouTube channel has a blog post associated with it with more information. So, if you are struggling with anything we've talked about here, you can go over to the blog page on drtrishlee.com and search, and you will likely find the answer to all of the questions in the chat and more. So please, if you're interested in any of that, go over to drtrishlee.com.
And that Supernormal Project is also going to be covering how you can move from something like your screen into being more on purpose in your life. Purpose is a big topic on that as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so moving forward from that, tomorrow is going to be Supernormal Saturday. It is the peak of our Supernormal Week event.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the difference, like we said, the double entendre of supernormal, going from being wrapped up in supernormal stimuli to creating the supernormal version of yourself. Vision still applies, but the idea is that figuring out who you want to be, and then stepping away from your screen and stepping into that new reality. So we're going to cover both of those things tomorrow.
That is right. And we are going to be live just like we were today, again, tomorrow at 5 p.m. EST on this channel, as well as the Supernormal YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is right. So that is the end of our slideshow. We can get to talking to the chat a bit more, get some nice conversation.
Fun money. Thank you for all the flowers,
to see
my
what you've
friend.
been saying. So,
V Dave, wonderful. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're enjoying it. This live every night for a week was Declan's idea.
And I'm loving it. I've based it on a couple other live events that I've watched and personally enjoyed. And I figured that we have a lot to say and we love helping people. So we'd love to tell you what we know about topics like these.
Yeah, so we've tried to organize it and, be able to provide some good content. And I'm glad you're learning because that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, Vikram, thank you for thanking us. We're glad to be here.
Joshua, I love your comment. Got some potentially bad news. Normally would have spiraled, but you're staying the course because... you can see the future self. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. And if I could just say one thing about potentially bad news, stress and bad news and the life that shows up, the unexpected things that can derail you, those are the moments that you have to double down. And like I told Declan in the car last week when we were stuck in traffic for a really long time, remember I told you this is when we get to exercise our patience muscle. You can never exercise patience unless you're uncomfortably stuck in traffic or in the grocery line. So unfortunately, when bad news comes your way, not that I want anybody to have bad news, it becomes the time that you get to demonstrate the fortitude that you are developing. So I'm glad you're doing it. It's totally awesome. Keep going. Stay the course, my friend. You got this. Fun money. The mind has limitations. What if, I'm only capable of X amount in the future because of the limitations? When I'm working out, I work out with my personal trainer, Jillian Michaels, which anybody who knows me knows I've been working out with Jillian Michaels for a couple decades. And she has a saying that if you set those limitations, you get to fight for them. And I love that when she says it in the workout, and it helps me to crank out, more push-ups than I want to. And that's what I encourage you to do, is to see those limitations as ceilings to crash through. Is it easy? No. Is it going to make you uncomfortable? Yes. And she has another saying that I've taken as my own. When you're growing, you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And I have challenged myself to do that almost every day. And that's how I keep doing new things. Does it feel good when something doesn't work out? We talked about rejection yesterday. When I feel rejected, Declan knows that I am eager to do a TED Talk. I haven't worked that hard at trying to do it, but I did put a couple TED Talk applications in, and one of them got to the interview phase. And honestly, I'm not an anxious person. I felt like anxious in the interview with a very young person, which I should have been able to do no sweat, but then I wasn't accepted for the TED Talk. I can perceive that as rejection and let that spiral me into I'm not good enough for TED Talk. I'm just like, this is my reality. So it's not happening right now. I am the person who got to that step. I can get there again and I can get past it. Fortitude, persistence, perseverance. And someday when you see my TED Talk, you will know that I have been moving toward that for years, right? So you all can do that too. So
long-term goals.
Crash through those limitations. You might be limited now, but your future self is not.
Yeah, long-term goals are an amazing thing to have. It really is cool to set something as a goal, like a TED Talk, and then slowly work towards it. And then we'll see one day get there. So,
Marcus, thank you for showing up and recommending the neurofeedback program. I really appreciate it. I'm working hard to help people to regulate their brains. I can tell Georgius, I don't know if Marcus will be able to comment, but I help a lot of people with arousal dysfunction. I know there's Google reviews that talk to that. So I'm confident in being able to help people with arousal dysfunction. And join me next Wednesday. On Wednesdays, I do a live show. I was thinking that the the gift of doing 7 days of lives is one more live, because that's what I'm scheduled to go live again. But next Wednesday, After Hours Rewire, where we talk about rewiring desire in your brain, show up then, because I will dive deep, deep, deep in next Wednesday. Let's see. Let's see. Samuel Peeping, I'm glad you're here, my friend. Yes, we're here. We're trying to be the personal trainer to try to help you to create connected days, not lonely days. We talked about loneliness before, and when the screen calls you back, man, is it isolating, and you end up in a downward spiral. Today we're talking about Future Self Friday, and your future self can be your tomorrow self that forces yourself to get out and to go do the thing that's difficult. Declan, are you willing to share any personal, because I was about to share a personal
story about what?
about how you joined community when you were feeling you made yourself join different clubs, and
Sure.
like when you're like, when you lived here with us, you're like, I live here and I feel isolated. I need to move into the city and I want to join these clubs, and you made a plan and you're making it happen.
Yeah, I remember back in, I think it was my second year of college, I was originally studying computer science, and it was super stressful and it got me super down. I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to set long-term goals towards. So instead, I switched what I was focusing on my life on, and at the same time, I joined a skiing and snowboarding club. And I set the goal to learn how to snowboard. So I went on trip 1, trip 2, trip 3 of the year out to different mountains to snowboard. And before you know it, I was taking green passages on the mountain. I was taking blue passages, the second hardest. And then I was taking black diamond passages on the mountain. So setting that goal and working
with
towards
friends
it bit by
too,
bit.
right?
Yeah.
And
And I met tons of people along the way. It's been a totally positive and transformative goal that I set. So even
and accomplished, right? Which there's
And
such a good
accomplished, that's
example of, you just got to force yourself out to that first meeting where you don't know anybody and nobody's comfortable doing that, right? When you step into a thing and you're like, yikes, this is my first time and I don't know anybody, but then it's the second time, then it's the third, and before you know it, you've met some people and you're on your way out of isolation, out of loneliness, into some connection. Okay, let's see. Yes, I am very excited. Vikram, I am very excited to get back to writing my next book on how brains become miswired by the algorithm and how to balance screen time. And I've just got this future self definitely has that book published. I just have to keep writing it. But I'm getting there. I actually made a plan, and this applies, is that right now I've been working on certain things that I don't have time to write a lot, but I made a plan for the summer so that this summer will be more writing time. So sometimes you can't do everything you want all at one time, but you definitely can make a plan to do it. So let's see. What do we got here?
Yeah, I see Grant and Johnson there commenting about how they're working towards their goals. That's really exciting.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, setting a goal and working towards it over time, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And feeling hopeless. That's why you've probably heard me say here before, I talk about pragmatic hope, right? You can't lose hope. You can't. But it's pragmatic hope. You have to make yourself do a thing, right? You have to do a thing so that then it's pragmatic, meaning it's practical. It has one step. I frequently talk about the idea of scaffolding, where if you want to build a 40-story high-rise building, you can't build floor 40, right? You have to build the foundation. Foundation is the lifestyle that we're talking about here. Then you build floor 1. And no, it's not easy. I know it's not easy. Here I've talked about the life I've lived has had so many iterations over the last many years, we'll just say.
Yeah.
But you have to keep constantly trying. And when it gets difficult, I actually thought about this. You gave me one of the best advice during a time of struggle.
What?
I had toxic mold poisoning, which many of the people here know. And I was like not well and trying to figure out how to get well. And I was having a low moment of like wanting to give up, which isn't an option, right? When you have to. And Declan said, I forget the exact word, something about rest in action. You act and then you rest, because I was
That's
in a
right.
moment where I needed to just rest, stop trying, right? But then you have to try again. So you can't just give up even if you feel hopeless. And in that moment, I felt hopeless. Declan's like, go rest and you can start trying again tomorrow. And I've learned to do that now. Act, rest, act, rest. Never stop resting, never stop acting.
And if you get really stuck to a point where even when acting and resting isn't doing enough for you, there's another idea which is called opposite action, where it's when the last thing you want to do is get up and go do your work.
That's
You'd
a big
much
one.
rather watch YouTube. And the last thing you want to do is work towards your goal. Sometimes the best thing to do it is to work towards your goal. It's to do the last possible thing you want to do, just to get you moving. If you're stuck in a place and you want to get your goal moving, doing the opposite of what you want to do can help just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, opposite action. That's a good one. It's like, I don't feel like working out. Go work out.
Go work
right?
out right now.
Or I should be working more. Go rest.
That's
know?
right.
So
That's exactly it. When you feel like you're wired and you have to keep going, doing something.
Yep.
Like scrolling on a screen, even.
Yeah.
Doing the opposite and backing away from that and taking some rest can be really, really good for you.
Oh, I'm ignoring the chat over there. Is it the same? Are they different?
I saw Muhammad over there. They're different. The left chat is Supernormal.
Okay,
Muhammad
awesome.
said,
oh yeah, you're gonna.
That hope we're having a wonderful day.
Oh, I was looking at the bottom one, which is by Muhammad too. What are the effects of too much screen time? Love the question. I really would love to answer it because it's understated, honestly. Oh, Seamus says we have a little lag.
Yeah, that's okay. We're gonna
be wrapping up,
flow
soon.
through that and get to the end of it.
So, what are the effects of too much screen time? The effects are proven by many, many, many studies, like we talked about the last 2 days. But an increase in anxiety, in depression, in feelings of loneliness, in isolation. Basically, this is the first time in history where the younger generation is worse off in mental and physical health. First time ever, and they've correlated it with screens. The trajectory of the issues like anxiety, depression, and ADHD and screen use are on the exact same upward trend. So significant amounts of mental health issues, physical health issues, arousal dysfunction, whether that be sexual arousal or baseline arousal. Anxiety and ADHD are baseline arousal issues. So a whole host of issues that people don't trail back to screen time. That's why we're here, because awareness is what we're trying to create.
Yeah, and Deacon Doherty over there had a really good Deacon, I think it is.
See, Deacon Doherty 3260. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be able to help. I really am. Helped so much. The knowledge that we're trying to impart here to people still struggle at times, but I've put the steps that allow me to succeed because of you. Thank you, Deacon. I really appreciate that. And in all the videos that I have on YouTube, even the older ones that make Dear Declan cringe, because they are pretty cringy, every single video has a brain hack or a step for you to be able to take after watching the video, right? Watching a video is one thing. That's why we're trying to create these brain hack steps for you here also. For here, today's brain hack step is to have a conversation, your future self, giving your current self the advice they need to hear to move towards that, taking an inventory of what you've got going on in your life and what's a step you can take to move forward today. So visit all the videos and there's lots of brain hacks there. And Deacon, I'm so glad to be able to help you.
Yep. And then tomorrow we are going to be having Supernormal Saturday.
Yes, Saturday. I forget who sings that.
I don't know. Yeah.
What we're going to be talking about, you creating your supernormal version, which supernormal to us is not superhuman, right? It's fully human. This is what screens are doing to people. They're no longer fully human. Somebody asked a question yesterday, which was put in, a funny way. Should I have more of an analog life?
That was a really great question.
It was a great question.
And our resounding answer was, it's definitely a helpful idea. Having more time where you're just grounded rather than being on a screen.
Yeah, and IRL, right? Get back into your real life and off your screen. And we had a long conversation. I don't know if you remember it, when it was kind of like a Ready Player One conversation where we were saying a lot of people's lives are mostly online
Which
now.
is really crazy to think about. So the whole idea of becoming super normal is, instead of being super algorithm brained,
Mhm.
you bring yourself back to living in your life and using a phone as a tool rather than a something that's holding you back.
Right.
Yeah.
Vikram has a great question. Does philosophy or religious influence help in recovering? The salience of what's important to you, I like to think of it as spirituality, kind of in a more rounded sense. And here we talk about purpose and passion.
Hmm.
Absolutely. There's a ton of studies showing that prayer regulates a brain very quickly. Actually, affirmations can do the same thing as long as it's meaningful and salient to you. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So,
So if something like religion and spirituality is important to you, then focusing on it can absolutely help you in your life. It doesn't mean it's a necessity. It means that focusing on something that's salient to you can help you. Yeah.
right. Like if prayer doesn't feel good to you and I make you pray, that's not
It
going
won't feel good
to.
at all. But if
But
praying feels good to you and you take that time to pray, absolutely it can
yeah,
help you.
yeah. And a cool thing is I see how it affects people's brains. I have one client who would go into this meditative prayer state during the sessions. And man, you should see the sessions. So great. That was a woman. So great for her. Just boom, dysregulated down to regulated within the
Hmm.
sessions. Just really great trajectory. Dr. Scott Benion's off for a good Friday night. He's probably gone already. Bye, Scott. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.
Yeah, and we are about to wrap up the live. So if anyone has any last questions or comments they'd like to make, we would love to take a look at them.
Yeah, and I saw somebody, I think it was Samuel's question about if I was in the UK. I just want to remind people that I do have a local office, but all of my work is online and I work with people all over the world. So if you need help, you can reach out on my website and, there's a button to do a consultation with me. So I can, as long as you have internet, and if you're here, you do, because some people don't have internet, I can help. Supernormal Saturday starts at 5 p.m. EST. We're here every single night
Hmm.
this week, all the way till, well, actually, Wednesday will be my regular after hours rewire. Every night until Wednesday, 5 p.m. EST. We're going live for an
Is when
hour.
we'll go live.
Tomorrow's
That's right.
Supernormal Saturday. Sunday, we're talking about social life, which I think will be good for some of the people in
Monday's
the chat.
motivation, and
Mm-hmm.
then Tuesday is triumph, ending it off strong.
Yeah.
So we really hope you come join us for the rest of the streams this week. And with that, I think it is about
Yeah, it's
time to
great. We have
wrap it up.
questions about Nietzsche. Nietzsche, we can talk about tomorrow if we can squeeze it in.
Of
But
course. And you want to say
bye, fun money.
goodbye over to side camera?
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us on this live. I really do appreciate it. We are on a mission to help people step away from the screen, step back into their life. But when you get back in your life, to do it with intention, with purpose, with passion. Today, we talked about your future self. We talked about willpower on Wednesday. Yesterday, we talked about your thinking and your programming and how to create new thinking. So join us tomorrow so we can break down supernormal stimuli with some cool studies about butterflies. And we'll talk about how you can become fully human, which is our version of supernormal. So go have an awesome Friday. Declan and I are going to go find ourselves some dinner.